Welcome everybody to Markonomics 101 presents Hoot Loot, the place where you come to be informed, be amused, but never be misled. We have such a treat for you today, you can't believe it. We have Bill Murphy, who is the authority, actually the authority on the gold markets, the precious metal markets. He's been in them for decades. He's almost as old as me, and you know I've been here since the beginning of time. So, Bill has a lot of experience, and he is a tenacious bulldog for what is right. And the reason I'm showing you the chart I'm showing you is that this chart is central to the the three show arc that we've been showing you. First, the Bitcoin, where, how this thing came about to be such a sensation. Two, the scams involving Bitcoin, which are now everybody is now experiencing. And now three, isn't it interesting? Bitcoin bottoms and gold starts going up. So so that's kind of interesting. And Bill is, in addition, is the publisher of Le Metropole Cafe, and we're going to have a special promotion on that. But I don't want to waste any more time. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back in just a minute with Bill Murphy.
All right, we're back with Bill Murphy, the publisher of Le Metropole Cafe. We're going to have a special promotion, and he's here because he knows more about the precious metals market than anyone I know. And this is the place to be. You do not have to lose money in what's coming up in that horrible situation we're about to have. There are places to make money, and Bill's going to tell you about what he likes, and it's the same thing I happen to like. And welcome, Bill. Great to see you.
Marko, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, one of the first things that our audience would want to know is, how, because I've been asking this question, why has gold been going down the entire time while the dollar's been going down the entire time? Inflation isn't soaring the entire time, and metals are soaring the entire time.
Yeah, well, it's back afterwards, or whatever you like to say. It's really been something else. I've been doing this now for 22 years in the gold and silver markets, and I've never seen anything so frustrating and aggravating in all my life. Simply put, you've got the U.S. government backed by the Fed's bank and other bullion banks in the U.S., the Bank for International Settlements and other central banks, keeping gold and silver prices down to reflect from exactly what you're just talking about, the biggest inflationary push of all time, government budgets going bananas, deficits going bananas. It's really been something else. I don't think I've ever been so frustrated because gold and silver should be, and I think they're going to do it shortly, should be exploding anytime soon.
That's what I think too, as a matter of fact. I think that silver and gold are absolutely the place to avoid the down escalator that most people are going to go on. The NASDAQ, the people that have seen the show, I've done what people are afraid to do, which is ring the bell at the top, ding, ding. It's over for tech stocks because they are so long duration. I've explained duration as being sensitivity to interest rates. What do you think of the current rate environment? I mean, 1.75 or 1.7 for the 10-year bond and a little over 2 for the 30-year bond while inflation's running what?
Well, I have to laugh because sometimes when gold gets down and what I call the gold cartel takes the price down, somebody will point to the interest rate market or yield of the 10-year note or something, say, geez, well, it went up 3 or 4 points. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
In the 1980, when gold went bananas, interest rates went to 20%. Not going up, not even close to 2%. So it's really something, and it makes gold and silver that much more valuable.
So my question is, okay, I agree with you 100%. Why would a person, lend to the U.S. government at 2% for 10 years? But knowing all of this, why would they do that?
You're not alone thinking that way, but basically it's the mainstream environment, the way investments go. I mean, I know you're going to talk. Go ahead.
Is it possible that the buyer is not, Joe the plumber?
Well, when it comes to Wall Street and the bond market, I mean, that's a big part of their action. And a lot of people want to have money protected in certain ways. And I think they're being deceived right now. But, that's kind of the subject that we're getting into, what to be in. All I can say is price action makes market commentary. And you said market commentary all the time.
Couldn't agree more.
Right now about these certain investments, and they're trying to keep gold and silver off the radar screen, and that is about to end.
I agree with you on that 100%. And that's one of the reasons it's so timely. I know that there is so you often talk about open interest and forward contracts, futures contracts, and physical gold. I have absolutely no idea who owes what whom under these things and whether there's enough gold. And we don't have another GameStop event occurring where things just don't balance. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I don't know how much I know, but there's certainly a lot going on about that. I mean, in terms of the silver market has more bullish news the past 3 or 4 months than its history. There's talking about shortages, the Australian Mint, the U.S. Mint, the supply-demand situation, the government. I mean, these banks, what I call the gold cartel, is keeping the price down through the paper market, which you referred to, say, the COMEX, and it's helping to facilitate what they're doing. I think, and this past week especially, every time they knocked it down and came back, and I think they're finally running out of what I call physical supply to carry out their paper selling agenda, and all of a sudden their prices are going to explode. Now, for me, I don't know if we can get into it or not, but when silver gets to 30, it's going to 100.
I've said 120, but that's what I've said. I've said 120, 125.
I'll be a happy camper at 100, but it could go much higher than that.
Well, we have a near-term target on gold of 2,700, just based on the chart. Once it breaks out, and it already has. So I'm looking for those to go up. Also, gold seems to be doing better lately than silver. Silver's been kind of creeping up. Gold's been actually going up at a rapid rate. And the other thing is, we've talked about it. Not only the balance sheet, but the GLD is is the ETF, is the stock market equivalent of gold. It's 1/10 of an ounce, supposedly, minus the friction on it every year. I know that you're not a fan of paper precious metals, and can you tell me why? Can you tell our viewers why?
Well, I'm not a fan of GLD, which for gold, and SLV for silver, because many years ago when they first got started, I looked at who the custodians were of these entities. And for gold, the largest short at the time was the bank, HSBC. And for silver, it was JP Morgan Chase. And I said, what a coincidence that the two biggest shorts in the market, which was known, all of a sudden have this paper market in which, when you look at the details of what they can do and cannot do, are very vague. So I think whenever they need to have gold and silver to hit the market with, they take it from those two entities as one of the ways to suppress the price. So I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them.
So, in general, what would you favor if someone wants to ride the up escalator, and what is one of the greatest opportunities, I think, I agree with you, of all time? What would you recommend? What would be the kind of things you want? Would it be miners? Would it be, just tell me, how would you play it? How would you recommend someone play it?
Well, it's a good question. It's complicated a bit because the premiums on some of the coins have gone bonkers because of what they've done. And yet they've held the COMEX, the basic prices of gold and silver down. They're just beginning, I think, to take off. And the shares, I know a brilliant guy in Toronto, is a legend, John Embry, who's made a fortune trading the gold silver markets as a bank analyst, Royal Bank of Canada. He thinks this is the best buying opportunity for the gold silver shares he's ever seen in his whole life. And he's older than I am. So I think there's some fantastic buying.
Even older than me? Even older than me? I've been here since the dawn of mankind.
I can mention a few if you like, but there's a lot of good ones.
I would love you to, because, just to give some people ideas. And, so far we've said stay away from. There's an opportunity. So how do you play the opportunity? Really important here. How do you play the opportunity?
Well, all I can say is 3 of them that I'm in that I favor. A big one, the safest one. First, Majestic. I know the owner, the CEO. I mean, great guy. It's a big silver company. Seabridge Gold's a solid gold company.
They have more gold in the ground than anybody else, don't they?
Well, they got a lot. And then there's a little tiny one that's gone Golden Minerals, which is the smaller company. They mine gold and have got great silver properties. And it's collapsed from years ago. And in the last 5 months, it's starting to go up. If somebody ever looked at a 10-year chart, you go, oh my gosh. So I'm very I'm hopeful that when gold and silver take off, that one can go. All three of them are for me. If when I'm in, that's all I can say.
Okay. Now, just as a question, in the past, I remember you talking about certain hedged miners that were not really going to participate in the price of gold going up. Is there someone you'd avoid because there's some kind of a bomb about to go off? You know how accurate financial statements are, of course.
Well, yeah, we've got to get started. There's two major company, Barrick Gold, was shorting the market, was helping the gold cartel keep the gold price down. It was obvious. I won't get into all of that. But they ended up losing $8 or $9 billion on their hedges, which means selling your production forward in the futures market.
Right.
So I would say stay away from anybody who's got a good deal of hedges on. There aren't too many, I don't think, these days.
I don't think there are either. I was going to say that almost every gold and silver miner is completely unhedged or very damn close to it.
Because of what happened in the past, and especially now when gold and silver are so cheap, it would be a disaster for somebody to be hedged at these low prices.
Now, what about like a Hecla Mining or a Coeur d'Alene or someone like that, a medium-sized one, or Wheaton that used to be, it's a big silver company. What about some of those? Any of those of interest to you?
Well, I don't follow them personally, but I have friends that do, and I know they're quality companies.
Okay, great. Now, okay, so we've talked about a potential GameStop happening, and isn't it possible, if not probable, that one of these institutions is short so much that if there is a short squeeze like GameStop, there's going to be some big event, and that they might actually have solvency problems themselves?
Well, great point. And of course, I don't know how much you're aware of it or not, but 3 months ago, there was a situation in silver in which the Reddit crowd and the Wall Street silver crowd, some really quality guys, had people go buy up the silver market and the physical silver market. And it caused the price of silver to spike to 30. And then this gold cartel again and the JP Morgan forces punished the price right back down again. And now the pressure's been building and building. They whack it down, it comes back and it's building again. And May 1st, the same crowd had a big buying of physical silver, 100 ounces, and I was a part of that and bought it up. And I think it's draining their supply. And, so you've got that's what I get into. You've got GameStop, boom, when it comes down, and the other stock, AMC, boom, when it comes down. Silver,
right.
dink, down. So
right.
I think you're going to have in silver what's happened in these other two, followed stocks by the younger crowd.
Now, let's go get into other than the miners for a minute. Is there an actual gold and or silver play other than getting, physical supply? If you could get it at a decent, not too high premium or spot, are there other ways to play this that are metal based that you'd have confidence in?
Well, I mean, those are the two best ways. I mean, you buy the physical, or
like,
you buy.
You're talking about like American Eagles, for example.
Yeah. You buy quality, the coins, and they're going to take off and go much further. Or you buy the shares. The worst thing to get involved with is the paper market, which is what the bad guys, as I call them, use to keep the prices down.
Yeah,
if you time the futures market right here, you make a fortune. But it's safer to buy the other ones.
Well, in the past, when it ran up to 850 in 1980, the Dow was at 850 in 1980. There's a 1-to-1 ratio that's happened twice in history. And if you think about that and you think the Dow's at 34,000, gold's at 1900, you can see how way undervalued it could be. And silver goes up much faster than gold typically. I assume that you agree with that if you don't say so. But there's also totally, and there's my understanding is that production of silver is non-existent practically. That it's actually gone down.
No, it's okay, but the demand is really good. And if somebody simplistic, but you mentioned technicals before, just go look at a silver chart. It's got one of the biggest bases, going sideways since
We've shown it, yeah.
Ever
We're going to
since
show it today.
When markets like that break out of bases and they're that powerful, they can have the power to send the prices much higher.
Yeah, you just have to be able to wait out the boredom while it's in that sideways pattern.
What I've been doing for the last 10 months.
I know the feeling. Believe me, I know the feeling. I know that you're a busy man and you have things to do. we've really enjoyed this. Is there any other thing that you would tell to the younger generation that is taking amazing risk, really creating moral hazard, and to turn that around and to actually surf the wave in the right direction just by going, hey, wait a minute, get out of this crappy thing, get into this great thing?
All I can say is I've never seen a better buying opportunity in my life than to be in the gold, silver markets right now relative to everything else. And yes, it's been frustrating these past 20 months as I watch what the bad guys did to gold and silver. And then I watched Bitcoin, which I knew some of the guys in the beginning go way up. And now, as you're talking about, it's going into the tank. The time to buy gold and silver from a risk reward standpoint is right now in some form, as we've discussed.
I couldn't agree more. We're going to have a little more about this. I so appreciate your time. I know the viewers do too. We're going to talk about the promotion in just a minute, and we're going to let you go because you got lots of people to talk to. You're a busy man, and we are honored to have had you on the show.
Marko, you're a good man. Best of luck to you. See you again.
All right. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hoot Loot. We're going to go through a few more charts. I hope you loved seeing Bill Murphy as much as I did, and I would take what he says to heart, because I couldn't agree more, number one. But number two, he's been around almost as long as me. I was around, when they still had molecules that were still bonding together. I don't know how the hell I made it this long, but I did. So we're going to have a few charts for you just to kind of wrap it up here and talk about the promotion, which you're going to love. So the first one is the US dollar, which of course the US dollar has been going down. But this thing, when you throw out that many dollars and you print that many dollars, it is a long way to go, let me tell you. And Bitcoin was a good way to play it. It's not necessarily the best way to play it at all. And Bill was telling you, and I agree with him, about the best ways to play it. And we're going to have more on that on the next show. All right. Here's the price of gold. Notice the breakout. I mean, that is substantial. Before, it had those little kind of tiny fake breakouts. This time, it's the real deal, guys. And this is what we superimposed on top of that Bitcoin chart to show you that the days aligned perfectly. Silver, Bill mentioned the sideways pattern, how hard it is to wait one of these things out. It is. It's horrible. It's a nightmare. But silver's been creeping up, and it is 30 is exactly the number we've been telling you. Breaks out above 30, it's going somewhere, multiples of where it is now, multiples. I just don't know how many, whether it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, I don't know. But I do know this, that it is very likely to turn the world of precious metals, which are now affecting everything's interconnected. And that's the thing. Everything's interconnected, and they're going to cause problems that we can't even predict right now, just based on the fact that somebody is leaning the wrong way and has taken too much risk doing it. And it is human nature to do that. And here are 10-year yields. Again, when you have inflation, it's just reporting. Now they reported the GDP. It's called the price deflator. And they reported that at 4%. And I don't know anybody that pays 4%, under 4% or 4% for anything over the last year. That's kind of preposterous. It's really running around 8 or 10 is what I would guess. 10 is probably the right number. And if you're lending money to the U.S. government 2% and you're paying 10% more a year, you're losing 8% a year. Okay? 8% a year. All right? The 30-year Treasury, same thing. And this thing is very likely to trade above the 10-year. And so you're seeing this at 2.2. I think next stop on this thing, easily 3, 3.5. We're going to see. But it's ready to go too. Okay? The NASDAQ 100, ding, ding. We've said that it was a top. I will still stick by that. And the pattern you see on the right looks to me like it is curling over. And a lot of the stocks, if I were to show them to you, are curling over. They did not do well, even when the Dow was rallying and the infrastructure stocks are still enjoying free government handouts. What would a Hoot Loot be without good old Tesla, the guy that's going to take you to the moon and Mars and everywhere else in the galaxy, and he just wants a couple million up front first before he actually takes you to some place he could never possibly go. But you notice Tesla is like the poster child for why this market's going down. Notice when it goes down, the tech stocks, the hope stocks, the ones that you have all these fantasies about, is going down heavily with them. When the market then rallies a little bit, it doesn't go up very much. And you see that on the Tesla chart here. And this is why Tesla's such a good leading indicator because it shows you there's not very much pulling it back up. It's not rallying back up. It's just kind of, making highs below highs, lows below lows. And what's that? A downtrend. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit about the special promotion that we were talking about earlier, okay? Le Metropole Cafe has a 2-week free trial for anybody. I really highly recommend it. I can tell you from personal knowledge, it is the best value there is out there because of the amount of information you get and the fact that you get a 2-week free trial, and we're going to have a drawing in about 3 or 4 weeks, because if you're a subscriber at that time when we have the drawing, we're going to pay the rest of the cost of 2 people who win. Okay, so you'll have a free subscription to Le Metropole for a year, and hopefully we'll have some nice, great new subscribers as a result. And we will work. For those of you that don't win the drawing, I'm going to work on Bill, because I have his number. Let me tell you, I have his number. I'm going to work on a great rate for the rest of you that actually would like to, aren't winners of the drawing, but still appreciate the value that it brings to you. So with that, I'm going to say, please like and subscribe, and please don't get involved in any Forex exchange scams. And we'll see you next time, which will be Wednesday. And we're going to give you some up-to-date buy recommendations on some of the miners and other ways to play gold that you could do now with low risk. So with that, I'm going to say I'm closing out. See y'all soon.